There are moments like that, and they're often the quirky ones where I'm like, I've never seen that side of God until you showed it to me.
Oh, Holly, I love that.
Yeah.
Welcome to More Than Small Talk. We're Susie Eller,
Jennifer Watson,
And Holly Girth, writers and real life friends. We're inviting you to go deeper, become freer, and feel more connected.
So imagine you have a cup of coffee, a mug of tea, or a green smoothie in your hand.
and we're all hanging out in your favorite place together.
Thanks so much for being with us again. We hope you caught last week's episode with Katrina Reimer from Canopy. It was really great. So we wanted to dig a little deeper based on that and talk about how do we see each other as people, as stories, and not stereotypes.
Yeah, so I'm going to throw out a confession question. Has anyone ever stereotyped you? And how did that make you feel?
Oh, I think that there's a lot of stereotypes for women in ministry.
Yeah.
And, like we're supposed to be in the kitchen and I'm not really good in there, but just having these really high expectations of like what you're supposed to be instead of like who you actually are. And I think that hearing those kinds of things early on as a 22-year-old in ministry starting out was really tricky. While I was pregnant with my first daughter, I had lost 2 babies, and the pastor and leader we were under said, my wife had her babies and she was playing piano the next Sunday.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, oh, wait, so I need to learn how to care for a baby, feed a baby, and learn how to play the piano. Like by the following weekend, I was like, wow. But that was the first time it was like blatantly in my face of this is what we expect for you to still be visible.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what I wasn't. I took care of my kid.
Tells us what a stereotype does. It puts somebody else's idealism, expectations on who you should be on you.
Right.
And assumptions.
And
it comes with a set of assumptions that should automatically fit you because you're in this group.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's being an introvert, especially when I wrote my book, The Powerful Purpose of Introverts, and was talking to a lot of people about that topic. I would often say, I'm an introvert. And they'd say something like, oh, well, I like people. And I'd be like, so do I. That's not what being an introvert means.
Yeah.
Right.
Or they'd say, oh, well, then you probably don't want to be here. I'm like, no, I wouldn't be here. I'll just probably need a nap after.
Sure.
Our introverts always this or that. And it was just interesting. And that's, a big part of why I wrote the book is to say, hey, here's some perceptions. Here's the reality. And let's look at the strengths of introverts. But it was always funny to be like, you jumped from one word to that thought really quickly.
Yeah. Well, we spoke. Holly had COVID, so she did not. She was supposed to be there. We had a large event where we came in and represented More Than Small Talk, and we spoke. I had some friends that came that knew me. And the last time they saw me was when I was 17 years old, maybe 18. And I remember afterward, one of the individuals came up and said, I didn't even recognize you. Like, you're shy. You're this, you're that. You've always been this. And I remember looking at her and thinking, but I'm not 17.
Yeah.
I'm not 18 years old anymore. And yes, there was a time in my life when I was painfully thin, painfully shy, all the painful stuff.
Yeah.
But I've lived a long life since then. I've grown and I've matured. And I just remember saying, that's what I gently said, is I said, there's been a lot of years that have passed. Mm-hmm. And while that person is a part of who I am, I've really changed a lot because we grow.
Right. I remember that conversation because I was standing right
you
there.
Were.
And I had some feelings about it.
Tell me about that. I would like to hear about those feelings.
I felt like it put you in this box and limited you, and like, wow, look at where you really are.
Yeah.
And I didn't love it.
I didn't love it either.
Because I felt like it was meant to be a compliment, but it felt very dismissive and almost like being under the thumb of someone's opinion.
Yeah.
And none of us are who we were.
Right.
It's like, thank God.
Right. And I don't, and as you know, I don't think that was the intention.
Yeah.
But I think that I had been put in a box.
Right.
And it was even said from the stage, if you remember, because they gave people an opportunity to speak. And it was like, yeah, Susie is, the Susie I know is painfully thin. She's painfully this. She was this and this. And I remember just thinking, I've changed a lot.
Yeah.
And grown a lot. And thank goodness we're not relegated to be stuck in a box of whether it's a time period, whether it's somebody else's assumptions, as Holly said. But I think that goes to the heart of why we're talking about this, because as we were talking to Katrina, some of the things that she said were so powerful, which is the closer that you get to someone, the more that you can know who they are. Your passion grows because you know them for who they are, you know their stories. Yeah. Stereotypes they're just yucky.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
They're limiting.
Well, and I think that that's something that we can do, like, and not be intentional about it, but then not mean to, but really seeing the human behind. Like, sometimes people are going through such a hard time, and what you're seeing is their pain, not who they are. Yeah. But if we can just look at one another as flawed, beautiful, fearfully, wonderfully made humans,
growing, evolving, changing,
and that never stops.
Never.
Then we can take each other and ourselves out of that box and just be like, however you are today and whatever season you're in, you're enough,
Yeah. And I think one reason we tend to do this as humans is that our brains are efficiency machines.
Yeah.
Like, they like to consolidate, and overall that helps us a lot. We have associations with words like soup and car, and it lets our brains know what to expect. What do I do with this?
Sure.
And so I think we can acknowledge, like, that's a natural tendency that unless we are aware of and intentionally say, I need to sort of throw that out when it comes to humans.
Yes.
Then we can not even realize we're doing it, because it's harder. It's a lot more work for our hearts and minds to look at each other as individual humans and learn each other one at a time, than to let that efficiency system kind of kick in and say, oh, it's easier just to group all these people together, because then I can say, I understand that, done. But I think it's an act of humility to say, you know what? I'm going to learn you.
I love that.
I'm going to learn you.
Yeah.
I love that, Holly. And that's kind of an invitation for me too. And even, sharing about that story, there were some things about that I didn't love, but I also have some things to learn about my friend.
Yeah.
Over all these years, what has she went through? What has life been like for her? Why did she come all the way to show up and support me? Yeah. Even if she still saw me as this, her heart was to show up and support and be there. So there's things that I get to learn about her or others as well.
How can what can we do to be better at that?
I think one is awareness, and then two, intentionally choosing curiosity over closed-mindedness. So to say, how do I be curious about you? Is I tell you, the quirky things about people are my favorite.
Yeah.
Like, I love it when I find someone who's irrationally obsessed with something. Like, they love rubber ducks more than anything else in the world, And I'm like, yes, like, this is you. Like, there is no category for this. Or maybe you found a group on, online that loves this too. But like, that makes me so happy.
The rubber duck club.
I mean, and it can be anything, like, because people, it's almost childlike, because they're usually not even self-conscious about it, because they love it so much. It's like, they just, I love that. And so to me, it's like the process of curiosity leading us to the imago Dei, the image of God in each of us.
Uh-huh.
And I think like that, maybe that's what it is, that there are moments like that. And they're often the quirky ones where I'm like, I've never seen that side of God until you showed it to me.
Oh, Holly, I love
You know?
that.
Yeah.
And I love that because it's something that's never probably going to come up in a sermon, but like this person who just loves this or does this one thing, or it's often what people talk about at funerals.
Yeah.
Like she loved hopscotch when she was 85, or she made this particular pie, or what, it's those things about each other that we end up loving and remembering. And I think there's something holy about that. Like really sacred. And stereotypes, we miss that.
Yeah.
Because we kind of gloss over and make us all more similar instead of saying like the joy of discovery is that God didn't make any two of us the same.
Yeah.
Hey friends, we hope you're enjoying our conversation about stories, not stereotypes. And I have realized we can stereotype ourselves also. And sometimes we are tougher on ourselves than anyone else. And that's one reason why I love Jennifer's book, What If You're Doing Better Than You Think? It's full of truth that can help you move past the self-criticism, lies, doubts, and even stereotypes that we put on ourselves. So if you'd like to find out more, you can go to jenniferreneewatson.com. Now back to our conversation.
I think you said something really important in our conversation in the last podcast. And please, please, please go back and listen to that because it's powerful. But Holly, you said a lot of times we were talking about refugees and immigrants. We often focus on what they left behind instead of what they bring to us. And I thought that was incredibly powerful. What a shift that would be that if I looked at someone and I begin to think, what do they bring to the table that is unique and different just to them? And why? How did that get there? To hear someone's story is so powerful. And for a long time, I spoke at different churches. And one of the things that I love to do is when I would get picked up by someone, usually it's someone who's like, I don't want to be in front of the scenes. I don't want to be on the stage. Let me do behind the scenes work. So I'll go pick up the speaker. And I get in the car, and the first question that I always ask is, can you tell me your story? It's always been that. And usually I hear this comment, which is, oh, there's not much to tell. And I'm like, give me a shot. I'd like to hear. Because we normally have somewhere around 45 minutes to an hour to wherever we're going. I have met some of the most fascinating people behind the scenes that their stories are phenomenal. And I remember sitting one day with, and this is a long story, I'm sorry to take up so much time, but I was in a place where I had a loved one that was deeply addicted. And I had prayed and prayed and prayed and was just discouraged as I was going to speak to others. And I said that when this woman picked me up, I said, hey, tell me your story. And she pointed to a child car seat in the back. And she said, I just got my daughter back. I've been an addict for as long as I can remember, but God healed me. And I've been sober for 4 years. And I now have my 4-year-old who's in this car seat. I put in this car seat behind. And I have my 7-year-old and I have my 8-year-old. My family's complete. And I work with Celebrate Recovery. And I get to do, and she was just beautiful story, but also an answer to prayer because God was showing me, look at what I can do to this beautiful woman. Not former addict. Present hope bringer.
Yes, that.
Present hope bringer.
Well, and just thinking like so often the deepest parts of the pain that we face in life just are attached to our greatest purpose.
Yeah.
And so we don't have to be ashamed of any of it.
No.
Like God uses every single ounce of our story. And it's always to help others, to love other people better. So I love that.
Yeah. And I think I've experienced this a lot with my daughter, Lavelle.
Sure.
We adopted her in her early 20s. And she gets did get stereotyped a lot growing up. Like, you're a problem kid. Like, you live in poverty, you this, you that. And she talks about how many people just dismissed her, and I feel sad for those people.
Yeah.
Because I know her heart and what an extraordinary human she is.
She is.
And just, I think we miss out on so much when we do that to each other. Yeah. And it's also just, I get Mama Bear kind of mad about it because I'm like, that is not
as you
fair to her.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a piece of this too, is just recognizing that we miss the strengths of each other a lot when we do this, and hearing about one piece of someone's story isn't the whole story. Mm-mm. So I love that, Susie, that you aren't just like asking, what's your story? Just like we ask, how are you doing? Where it's a quick answer, but just to say, okay, just because I know a chapter in the story or a word in the story doesn't mean I know the whole story. Like, how can I dig deeper until I can see the human behind those things I think I understand about that story?
Yeah. Well, Katrina also mentioned the word otherism, which I think is founded in fear, is that we are afraid of entire populations of people because of cultural differences or other differences. And when we get past that, suddenly this beautiful tapestry of here's different cultures, here's different foods, here's different stories, all of these different things, which makes our lives richer and fuller. So do you think, I love the book Screwtape Letters. I don't know if you've read it. It's a trip. It is such a great book. But in it, one of the greatest tools that they wanted to bring to divide people was otherism, to be afraid of others, of the things that God himself put inside of somebody, so that there was division and lack of unity. And it was a trap. Yeah. It was presented as a trap in this book. And I think it can be a trap for us.
I think anything that makes us split the world into us and them,
yes,
is not a reflection of the heart of Jesus.
I agree.
And we all do it at different times, usually out of fear. And I just think that's another thing to be aware of, to say our brains also love categories.
Yeah.
And when you are organizing your dishes, that is super helpful. Yeah. When you're organizing your humans, not so helpful.
Yeah.
So again, I think just pausing to say like, oh, okay, that's a natural tendency of my brain that's there for efficiency, but it doesn't work well with humans. Like, I will keep it pointed toward other things in my life where it can serve me well.
Yeah. It's good. Well, let's talk about some very practical ways that we can move from stereotype to story. What is one thing that we could do today?
I think just asking people questions and listening, not like listening to just know them, not to just respond, but I think asking people questions and wanting to know them is a really good place to start, because then you can see, okay, this is a real person.
Yeah. And I think finding voices who approach the world that way. Like Mark and I have been watching, his name is Peter Santinello on YouTube, and he has a whole channel where he goes to different towns all over the country, and he just finds locals and basically says, what's your story? What's happening in your area? Like curiosity. I've seen him go everywhere from Appalachia, really hard spaces, to Beverly Hills. And he approaches it with curiosity and kindness and just, I think that ability to see into other people's worlds is really special. So he's one I've enjoyed, but I know there are others. So when we are looking for news sources, books that we read,
Yes.
things that we listen to, I think a helpful question to ask is this person approaching others from a posture of humility, curiosity, and kindness?
Yes.
And moving toward unity in what ways we can?
Yeah.
Or is there closed-mindedness, judgment, fear, anger, shame? Like how are they approaching people? And try as much as we can to align with those who are curious and humble and kind, and let those be the voices we listen to most often. That is something that has been helpful for me.
Yeah. One thing that I do is also, I need to be aware that because of culture, the way I was raised, my upbringing, whatever, there's going to be some inherent things inside of me that say this is right and this is wrong. This is the right way to do it. This is the wrong way to do it. One of the things that Richard, my husband, who is a counselor, kind of teases about sometimes is he said sometimes when counseling couples, it's amazing how you fold a towel can become an issue in a home, or the way the toilet paper roll goes, because they've been taught this is the right way, this is the wrong way. And he said getting them past that is usually a really big step. And it seems so small, but it makes me think, what prejudices, what words have been spoken over people am I bringing to the table that says this is inherently right and this is inherently wrong? And instead, do what you said, Holly, which is, I'm going to learn you. I'm going to learn how you do it. I'm going to learn what you were taught. And maybe, just maybe, I'm going to grow in the process.
I think one of the biggest things that we can learn to intentionally push back on is we are also, I think as humans, it's very easy for us to look at each other and try to make each other in our image.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to make you in my image.
Yeah.
You know, if you were more like me, the world would be a better place. And that is not what we are called to.
No.
We are called to help each of us become more of the image of God within us and more like Jesus.
Yeah.
And so that is something I'll check myself on. I'll be like, oh, I'm thinking this person needs to be made in my image.
Yeah.
And they are made in the image of God. And my role in their life is to help that come out as much as I possibly can. Yeah. And that's so freeing. Yeah. I mean, it's so freeing. We call it being free range humans in our family.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's freeing to say, like, yeah, it is not my job to make you in my image because God made you in his.
Yeah.
And that is a good and powerful and beautiful thing. And how then can we join together? I was talking to someone who was trying to work through a conflict, and I said, I like to picture both people in it as overlapping circles. And there's always that overlap. And so communicate from there. What do we both want? What do we both believe in? Like, what do we both... There's always overlap with any other human, even if it's just that we're both human.
Yeah.
And so I think starting from that place can be helpful too.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I think this is an invitation for all of us, is to just take that phrase that Holly said, and when someone or a group of people or a culture comes up and it's unfamiliar to you, instead of saying other, to say, I'm going to learn you. I'm going to learn you. How cool would that be within a marriage, within relationships with it? Because listen, we give birth to these children and they're all different from each other. Isn't that the creation of God right there, just showing you personality-wise? But how can I learn more about this person so that they can fully walk in the image of God that's in them instead of in us?
And that's it for today's episode. Thanks for going deeper, becoming freer, and connecting with us. More Than Small Talk is a part of the KLRC Podcast Network and is produced by Kara Culver. Show notes and resources are available on the More Than Small Talk page on klrc.com. You can also join us in our Facebook group. Subscribe to More Than Small Talk on your favorite app so you won't ever miss an episode.